We're back at Destination Dallas. Jamie has flown in from Canada so we can get some sessions in for you guys. As you guys know, Jamie is one of the No Switch Fitness coaches, and she's just coming off the back of Toronto Pro. Just missed out on our pro card, but we've got 2-3 weeks off, and then it's right back into it.
Not really off, though.
Not really off, though. So headed to North Americans for her. So we're gonna do her shoulders and arms day. So a great session for a lot of you girls who are in figure and WPD and all those classes that have this in your programs. So I'm going to be sharing some things. Jamie's going to be sharing some things. Make sure you watch all the way through to get all the tips that you need. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. We're going to start with this prime lateral and dive in.
So when I'm here, I really like to use the prime lateral. One of the things too, the reason why you would use a machine like this is it actually loads the elbow as opposed to down at the wrist, say with a dumbbell or even with cables. So for me right now, coming out of the back end of a show, still not being fully recovered, I also prefer to do something like this with a machine because it's a fixed movement and it's going to be the same every time. So it's a lot safer as opposed to you doing a cable or dumbbells where you're not fully supported.
One of the big things with using this piece out of that post-show phase is just putting her in positions that she can output again and put her brain on autopilot a little bit more. So any machine lateral is going to allow her to be able to do that. And it's really going to start to eliminate the variability that we can see in learning the process by putting her in a position that's repeatable every time with the machine lateral. So we don't have much time before we get digging back into prep. So some of the program changes we made were minimal, but they were keeping the volume where we were at the end of prep because we're about to jump back in, and this was probably the best we managed for recovery across the prep, so it's not going to change a whole lot. Good. There. Easy.
One more.
Go. Easy. That's it. Are you getting trapped there or no?
No. I don't feel it in my traps.
Good. Just want to make sure.
No, I feel it in my delts. Right about here.
Yeah, that's good. And just with that breath, I worry about with the breath, like the shrug, the breath and shrug and then trap going. See a lot of people, they'll breathe in hard and they'll shrug up at the same time, and then that initiation off the bottom is just all trap. One of the downfalls to the prime lateral I see is not controlling the eccentric, especially with those stoppers being there. They just let it fall and crash into the stoppers. So as I do these reps, you'll see I'm really just trying to land it like a butterfly with sore feet onto that stopper and make sure that we're keeping the tension in the delt and not letting it bounce off that bottom so that we're getting the most out of the movement, both eccentrically and concentrically.
So I'll often get asked about why I don't program anything but an incline chest exercise for females who have subglandular breast implants or implants that are under the pectoral muscles. So one of the reasons, or the main reason, is that when you do any type of flat pressing or a movement like dips, what it does is it contracts the pectoral muscles and it pushes the implants down, which stretches your pocket. Stretching the pocket out means that your breast implants eventually end up in your armpits where you don't really want them, and then you end up having to have them redone to have the pockets made smaller again and repaired surgically. So if you have under muscle implants, should not be doing any flat pressing, just high incline pressing only for upper chest density.
Your bar. Yeah, great depth. Worse. Yep, easy. Come on. Drive. Come on. High Incline Smith is next for the press. Really big fan of this for those WPD and figure athletes that need higher pressing volumes for delt development, especially when you look at that front relaxed. A lot of that top line is front delt, even clavicular fibers. So I really don't have most girls that press below 75 degrees. There's an occasional setup where it will. But for most, the biggest thing to look for is where does that upper arm cross? And for Jamie, that like 75 degrees is pretty perfect for front delt. So we'll have her set up in 75 degrees here. She's got 2 other presses on her other day as well that are both incline variations. So there's no flat pressing happening, especially with her having implants. It just doesn't make sense for her class or for keeping the implants from being damaged or anything along those lines. So really excited to jump into this movement, and we'll go over a couple other things as we dive in. One of the downfalls to the Smith is the set position of the hands with the barbell. It makes it a little bit harder to adjust according to the individual, but the big thing you're looking for is just at the bottom, that wrist should be as close to stacked over the elbow as possible so that all that force transfers back into the bar. You don't want to see it getting like outside of the elbow down here at the bottom or even inside, which can lead to some elbow tendonitis, which is what I see most of the time, is inside to protect the shoulder and the elbow issues from there.
We'll see if I can squeak 8 out.
You need help off the top?
Yep.
Got it?
Yep.
Your bar?
Yep.
Yeah, great reps. 2, 3. Easy. Get at least 7. Come on. Yep. Go for it. Yours.
One more.
Yep. Drive. Yeah, that's it. Good set.
You're
Great
right.
reps there.
You're
Those are
right.
8.
8.
Yeah, I called it. Called it. So you'll notice I'm like kicking myself back in the seat a bit. That incline's a little bit too high for me from a external rotation standpoint to be able to exert force well. I'm also like guarding my left pec a bit. I have a previous injury that just gets flared up every once in a while. So I'm just doing that to alleviate how much functional capacity I have to use, which sounds weird in a Smith because it's externally, but still requires a little bit. Biasing it a little bit towards stability, still a lot of front delt. It just allows me to get a little bit more out of it. So I will kick my butt out and create a little bit more of an incline here.
So Incline Smith is a really good place to add a band. So it would be a reverse band in this case as a training tool. So one of the limiting factors for getting into full access with this movement is that people don't pause in the bottom of the movement and they don't go deep enough. So they don't learn how to keep tension in the bottom of the movement. So by adding a band, what it does is it allows people to slow down in the bottom and pause to press out to target the chest more efficiently. So personally, it's something that Luke and I had added into my training from the get-go in order to teach me how to connect with my chest better. So for a long time, what was happening was I wasn't going deep enough into the movement because I didn't have confidence in the bottom. And what it did was it meant that I was using mostly my front delt as opposed to connecting with my chest. And it's made a world of difference. It just took some time, but it's honestly one of the best teaching tools that you can use when it comes to pressing in a Smith machine.
Over to rear delts. Completes the physique from the back, especially for a back W in WPD.
WPD.
So we've taken Jamie's rear delts from non-existent to pretty good.
Yeah.
So this is a really good movement for that. I really like how you can like lean forward into it and get that hand above the shoulder a bit. It's not as adjustable as a cable, but I do like that we have these bars to put force into on the outside as we do these movements, as we do these reps. With this reverse pec deck, one of the big mistakes I see is letting that hand go across the shoulder joint. You're really just getting it inside that AC joint and seeing that scapular travel around the rib cage. So Jamie does a really good job of stopping the end of that rep right before she gets to her shoulder to keep it all rear delt and prevent that scap from moving a ton. Now, it will move some, but it will be a little bit limited. Just keep the elbow in a really good plane to do that.
Those are like fire.
Emily, you want to go?
So one of the big problems that happens with this movement is that people will drop the elbow and drop the humerus down. So as you can see, Luke's elbow stays turned up. He's pressing into the pinky finger, which makes it so that it isolates the rear delt as opposed to going up into the traps. So you can see that he has really good alignment. Elbows stay high, pressure's in the pinky fingers, and it just makes the movement far more effective.
Crossbody tricep pushdowns, doing that with a dumbbell curl. Big fan of the crossbody, just being able to set the cables where they align as you do the pushdown. Really good for getting that low taper as you get into the shortened position. And then dumbbell curl is just our mid-range compound curl for the day. And then we'll move on to the last little bit, but we'll do 3 sets on each and then move on to the last superset for the day. Nope. Big fan of doing the dumbbell curls one arm at a time. For me, just liking that lean over so that we can get wrist, elbow, shoulder aligned fairly well. And it limits elbow issues for me, which is a big thing for management as far as injury profiles. So I really like this. I do like to do this in conjunction with wrist extensions, just because we see bodybuilders in a flex position 24/7. So you can, if you fit into your session well, do a dumbbell curl into a wrist extension. I think it's a really good combo for elbow health overall. So one thing I like when I hit failure here on the last set is to extend it. And what I'll do is keep my arms forward, lean forward, and do a 2-arm press down because it gives me leverage. And I can get the last little bit out of my triceps that I need for this movement. So it's a nice set extender to get the most out of your last set here before you transition into the lengthened position, skull crusher variation.
Who's the coach? Who's the coach?
Huh?
Who's the coach you're talking about?
So on this incline cable curl, the goal is not to have that cable perpendicular at the bottom, like down here. You want it to be a little bit above perpendicular to that bottom position, but you do want a lot of that load in the lengthened position. So basically what happens is as you start that curl, you hit perpendicular to the cable about 2 or 3 inches off the bottom, and that full bottom position, it drops off just a smidge. This is more just like a safety concern, and we're really weak in the extreme end ranges of movement. So it allows us to load that lengthened position, but also bring the peak load a little bit closer to mid-range. It's how I prefer to set up the incline cable curl. That's a wrap for shoulders and arms. A little bit of a shorter session, but mainly just because Jamie's coming off the back of a show. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, put them down in the comments below. Both myself and Jamie will be down there answering your guys' questions. Make sure you subscribe to the video. Click the notifications button. We have a ton of content coming your way, especially with Jamie. She's going to be producing a lot more content for the page. You guys have probably already seen some of it. If you guys want to give her a follow, it's at Jamie No Switch. We're going to be putting all of our content for anything on YouTube and Instagram. So make sure you give her a follow. Until next time, take no off switch and pursue the results.